Hitman 2 doesn't feel like a sequel. It's more like DLC of the previous game. However, this is exactly what fans of the series wanted, and as someone who gave it Game of the Year back in 2016, it was a must-buy for me. The maps are bigger and just as diverse as the original, and if you've bought the 2016 game, you get the bonus of playing through all of them with the updated mechanics of this one.
Yeah, now not only did he try to ban the maple syrup lollipops, he tried to cancel Halloween and added about 50 new rules to the local town plan in an effort to try to make everything look the same here. He owns a big chunk of the land.
Head bashing, huh? Not on my watch, jackass.
If a game gets me into a genre I had no prior interest in, it's usually a shoo-in for my Game of the Year list, and Dead Cells is no exception. It's a roguelike game where every time you die, you start from the very beginning with nothing. But as you get further and further, you can unlock bigger and better weapons that randomly drop. With an increasingly diverse and randomly generated selection of levels, the replayability is super high, and a future patch that enables you to choose how you play the game will make this game even better in the long run. I was pretty late in getting into Assassin's Creed games. I played a few, but none really stuck for me until last year's Odyssey. And similar to Hitman 2, this feels very much of the same. However, there's a lot more. As you can see, the game is stunning and the map sprawls out as far as the eye can see, but with a satisfying combat system and rewarding side quests in addition to the for once exciting main storyline, this is easily the best Assassin's Creed game I've played.
Zone B captured. Zone advantage is yours.
I was in two minds about whether expansions count towards my Game of the Year, but I make the rules, so they do. Despite being a massive Destiny nerd, Destiny 2 didn't even make it onto my Game of the Year list last year. I was super disappointed by pretty much everything they did at launch. The moment you reached a soft level cap, there wasn't much you could do each week, save for a handful of grinding missions that took a couple of hours to complete. However, with Forsaken came pretty much a relaunch of the game. Everything missing from Destiny 1 came back, which, I mean, should have been there at the start. Plus a whole load more. For the first time, the Dreaming City, a whole area dedicated to endgame content, has been added with updated weekly quests and various other hidden surprises that get added each week. Destiny's truly back, but might have burnt a lot of bridges with such a disappointing launch back in 2017. Ah, what could be more fun than entering a faraway land, home to some of the largest and most beautiful creatures ever seen, only to climb each one and exterminate them one by one. For some very strange reason, I bought but never played much of Shadow of the Colossus when it was first released on PS2. I like to think that my tastes have improved since then, and rediscovering this game has been eye-opening. Yes, the camera tries to be so cinematic that I can hardly see where I'm going, and the horse will often go where I don't want it to, but once I'm climbing the Colossus and sink that last sword stab into its blood-oozing skull, I'm absolutely blown away. When Click Click Play put Tetris on the best games of all time list last year, it was through a lot of persuasion, and even then I wasn't sure if it still holds its appeal. This year I was proved completely wrong. To the Neanderthals who say, "Oh, it's only Tetris with pretty lights and music," I say play it. The journey mode will guide you through all the levels with varying speeds and effects, sometimes even making you emotional. Outside of that mode, there are endless amounts of playlists and varying modes to keep you entertained or match whatever mood you're in. Also, I played the majority of this in VR, and not since Res Infinite have I been so impressed with the hardware. This type of game is exactly what first-gen VR is all about, in my opinion, and the music in this game is second to none that I've played this year. The original Red Dead Redemption was my favourite game of the previous generation, if not all time. The squeal I made when I heard they were making a prequel was only audible to dogs and other small animals in the neighbourhood. When I was finally able to play it, I couldn't believe how something so detailed and realistic could even work on a current gen console. Yeah, the controls can be frustrating and there's a lot of chill downtime in the story, which is what any Western fan would expect, but just travelling around, finding random side quests, going out hunting or just exploring is an absolute joy to behold, and I can't wait to spend another 100 hours or more just wandering around with no aim or purpose.
It's all right, my darling. You can come out.
As with Dead Cells getting me to love a roguelike game, Celeste got me to love a super difficult precision platformer, a genre I've never had any interest in and probably won't unless a sequel comes out. This game has pretty much everything: fascinating characters, a brilliant composed soundtrack, and incredibly tough but rewarding gameplay. Very rarely did I get angry at the game, only at myself, but no matter how many times I died, I'd always get a little further each time and know exactly what I needed to do. The addition of B-sides with harder variations, and there are also C-sides, of the level and remixed music made me want to throw my Pro Controller across the room on many occasions, but they were never impossible to complete, especially with assist mode, something that allows you to have an extra dash, slow time down a bit, have unlimited stamina or invincibility, so if you really are stuck on an area, you can just switch it on and get past with no penalty whatsoever. Accessible to everyone. Up until a few days ago, I had no intention of putting this on my list. It felt a very cookie-cutter open-world RPG with leveling, side missions, map unlocking by climbing towers, etc, etc. However, since going back and restarting the game, I've been hooked. The game is one of the most polished experiences I've experienced in recent times, and not only just the voice acting, but the writing and story is truly fantastic. I've been actually forcing myself to do side missions and collectibles, as the main storyline had me by the cojones, but it helps that just traversing the huge open world of Manhattan is nothing short of pure fun. I think that's how I describe the game succinctly, just pure fun. Despite being a huge map, there are no large open areas with very little detail. Every square inch has been polished. And apparently there's a fast travel system, but I wouldn't know, I haven't used it. Swinging, as you can see right here, is just fun. Boy. This might come as a surprise to my Twitch viewers, as I've only played this a few times on stream. The reason is that I played the last 3/4 of the game off stream due to how absorbed I was in the story. I wanted no distractions so I could immerse myself fully into the superb world of Kratos. It's unusual for me to finish a game in a few days. Normally, you know, I get distracted and either don't finish them or come back after a few days. But God of War was something I couldn't put down. The deep but easy to follow story and the relationship between Kratos and Boy flow so genuinely, and certain moments that aren't necessarily sad cause my eyeballs to sweat a little. Adding this to a stunning, interlinked, semi-open world that sends you to some incredible places And with combat mechanics and RPG level skill trees and equipment upgrades, make this an all-around perfect game, and one I'd recommend to anybody with a PS4. And if you don't have a PS4, go get one. There's a few games on this list you could use it for.